Hey guys, JK here, finally back with another banner review. It's been a while, but this is actually the first banner that is interesting to me. And I'm actually going to pull on this banner. Not going to wail, not going to go hard or anything like that because I'm really just going for some TMs, I guess. But the grand prize is obviously Ayaka, who we've all been looking forward to for a very long time. I'm actually surprised that she's coming this early, but maybe I shouldn't be. She's been expected, but if you didn't know already, she's basically the next best healer who kind of like quote unquote breaks the meta, although that's probably saying it too strongly, but yeah, she's a clear upgrade over Tillith even. Well, I guess that's arguable. I mean, she is definitely better, it's inarguable, but um, it's not like a night and day difference in all cases. So anyway, we're gonna go over all that. But first of all, I just wanted to talk about their Trustmaster rewards. I might need to zoom in a little bit more here. Thought I was zoomed in enough, but so basically, okay, grand prize is Ayaka, base 5-star, goes to 6-star, of course. Her TM is Pure White Blessing, which restores HP and MP and fills limit burst gauge every turn. So this is really good, especially because her particular limit burst, if you're using Ayaka, is very, very good. You want to have it filling up as quickly as possible. And, you know, obviously you want to get HP and MP every turn as well, because if you're using Prism Heal or, you know, basically restoring the whole party's HP and MP other than yourself, then it's really nice to have a TM that will, you know, self-heal these things. Goken is a base 4-star, goes to 6-star, kind of like, I guess, the second strongest unit on this banner, arguably. His is a training reward, close, I guess. And this is for males only, MP plus 20%, attack 20, and defense 32. So this is a really good armor for men, or males, sorry. The MP plus 20% is definitely a big plus because, as you know, a lot of these, you know, go-to skills can take a lot of MP to use, 45, 53, you know, all these kinds of things. So having that extra MP is actually going to make a big difference. Silvia is the next unit, base 4-star, goes to 6-star, a Spellblader. Her TM is actually a sword, and I'm actually really excited about this, most, I guess, out of everything in the banner, because as you probably may know, or as you've gone through yourself, I wasn't able to get Frivia, so this is kind of like the next best thing. It's a 100 attack and magic 84 sword, so for anybody who's still using Enhancer on their Trans Terras or things like that, this is going to be an awesome upgrade for you. Not as good as Frivia's Needle, but you know, almost as good. And plus, Frivia's Needle is elemental, so there might be cases where you don't want that ice element. This is a nice alternative for you. And then we go to the base 3-star units, Kamui and Yuri. Even they have pretty decent TM. So Kamui has a really nice katana, 120 attack, which is not the strongest, but for a fire elemental attached, this can be situationally the best. So if you're up against an enemy or boss that's weak against fire, this is obviously something you'll want to equip. Very, very good katana. And then we have Yuri, who has an attack and magic plus 20%. So this is pretty good for hybrid characters. This is kind of, I think it's called Seal of Destruction, which was a little bit rare before on a base 4-star unit. But now on a base 3-star unit, you should be able to stockpile these pretty easily. So as you can see, all of the TMs are really good. I'm especially excited about Sorcery, but of course if I were to get Ayaka, I'd be really excited about that too. So let's go into the actual characters themselves. I'll try to go through this quickly, but I don't know if I can. So Yuri is a base 3-star, and this unit is just terrible. I don't know what they were thinking. At this point of the game, there's no reason that any unit should be this weak. This music feels loud for some reason. But we're gonna have to go through her anyway, just in case. I don't think anybody is going to be using this unit unless it's for waifu reasons. Like, literally nobody should be using this unit. So the stats are just average. Pretty much not even worth discussing because it doesn't vary that much. She uses daggers and swords and, you know, all this random other stuff. These abilities are pretty terrible. A lot of them are hybrid, but the multipliers are so low for a hybrid ability that it doesn't justify using them. So like 2.1 is really low for a hybrid. If this was just a physical attack or something, it'd be, I guess, run of the mill decent. But for a hybrid, that's very, very low. Um, there is some situational use in theory if you're up against planetoid monsters, insect monsters. But again, the multiplier is so low. I mean, what is this? 1x for physical damage. There's no way that this is your best option. So again, I'm just kind of going through this because I have to, but there's really no person who's playing this game for any amount of time that's going to be using this character. Even if you're new, it's not worth the resources that's going to take to build her up. And then her Earth hybrid damage 3x is still pretty low. As a reference, Noctis, who we got all the way back like 9 months ago, has a whole bunch of hybrid AoE attacks, and his are 4x. So this is not even as strong as a 9-month-old unit, and this is a max 5-star, so it's not even going to cap out that high. The only thing I would use this unit for, literally, is for the TM and for smoke, to just escape battles during explorations. That's literally it. Again, nothing here. Even Bewilder, it's like, okay, you're going to give her something that's kind of cool, which is the chance to ignore fatal damage, above 30% HP, but it's a 20% chance. So, I mean, it's rarely going to proc, and it's not going to make up for the squishiness of a 5-star character anyway, so not worth using. Just had to go through it for the sake of doing it. On the other hand, Kamui, another 5-star unit, unfortunately, does have some decent skills, which doesn't mean that you're going to use him, but, you know, at least it's respectable. So, uses kind of like the main weapon types, sword, great sword, and katana. Has some of these, you know, abilities that we've seen a million times already. Finger Snap is actually pretty good. It's basically a dispel attached to an attack, so that's pretty nice, but, you know, again, nothing new. Here's a 3x attack, but it takes 2 turns of delay. It's like, why is there such a huge wind-up for such a mediocre attack? At this point in the game, it's not like there's anything special with the 3x. So pretty terrible. But Hellfire Slash is probably his best ability because it actually does have a chance. It actually reduces resistance to fire by 50%. So if you happen to have a fire-based team or mages or whatever, and you can reduce the resistance to boost the attack or the damage of your other party members. But Kamui himself is not going to really be doing much. And then Sacrificial Blow, sacrifice 99% HP to deal a good amount of damage to all enemies. This is actually also another decent skill, even though he is a 5-star unit, because you can do this massive damage and then just follow up with your like full healing mage or healer. So there is some use for this as well. So these 2 skills are decent. If for whatever reason you want to use a 5-star character, maybe some kind of like personal challenge of some sort, I don't know. But that's Kamui in a nutshell. And we'll move on to the next character. Alright, Silvia is a Spellblader, another hybrid character. Some interesting abilities here, actually. So the stats are pretty decent, not anything particularly special. The attack and magic are both kind of low, but that's because she's hybrid, so they kind of split it across those 2 stats. The weapons are dagger and sword, and then there's some other stuff that you can mix it up with depending on what kind of TMs you have. You can, you know, dual wield like a sword, like let's say Enhancer, or even her own TM, and then like a really powerful rod, and then like use like, you know, Dark Bond or things like that. I don't know the best equips for her, but, you know, there's some options there. A lot of armor choices. So tons of hybrid abilities. There's like situational, like status ailment type stuff, which generally don't really get much play because it's not that reliable. And then there's some elemental spell blades like Faraga Blade, Eroga Blade. These are pretty low multiplier for a hybrid ability, but these can be situationally useful, again, depending on the enemy's weaknesses, because they are MP efficient. They're only 14 MP, and, you know, if they're weak to it, then, you know, you basically can get double damage out of these things. So not like an awesome ability, but can be useful, especially if you're conserving MP. Increase to status breaks for all allies. That's a nice little support ability there. Last gem. Okay, this is a decent hybrid ability here for wind, and it also increases wind resistance by 70% to all allies. So this is a really nice pretty decent damage actually, but then also a really nice wind resistance buff. So this is a really good ability here. Osmos Blade's always nice to have that. Another Spellblade here. Increased resistance to stop. Again, very nice, especially for like arena or something like that if you're dealing with you know, Noctises or something like that. Heat Gem, another great ability. 4x hybrid damage and increased fire resistance. And then down here, let's just skip ahead to Sunlight Gem. Same thing with Light. Same multiplier, same resistance. So there's definitely some very good uses for this character if you're up against like a Wind boss, Fire boss, or a Light boss. And then generic go-to ability here is a 6x hybrid damage Magic Blade, which is pretty decent, but you know, it's a finishing ability, keep that in mind. It's a one-hitter. And 6x is not like amazing or anything, but it's a nice go-to. There's also light hybrid damage here, so if you're up against, you know, like some dark bosses weak to light, this would be your better option and so forth. But, you know, definitely some cool stuff here. I don't know if anything that she has is like amazing or game breaking, but if you wanted to use this character, she's certainly viable in my eyes. And then, you know, passive wise, not the best actually. It's only 20% here, 20% here for attack and magic. So that's decent, but you know, a little bit low considering her stats aren't that great to begin with. Definitely not on par with like a Noctis, but you know, still a pretty decent character. And then chance to counter physical attacks is only 5%, but it is a pretty nice counter for free. Magic Field, which is recovering MP by 50 to all allies. So if this does proc a few times, you know, it can actually add up over the course of a long fight, so it's pretty nice. I kind of realized that I didn't really go over Limit Burst too much on the other characters, but I don't think I'm really missing out on anything. This one is a decent hybrid damage ability, but what's most important is that you get all of these elements, really high resistance, all in one go. Fire, Ice, Wind, and Light. And it can max out at 74% to all allies for 3 turns, so obviously this will have some use. Really useful Limit Burst and a nice array of options. So cool character, not like super top tier, but you know, could be fun to use. Next up we have Goken, and this is actually a godsend for newer players. You'll see why in a little bit, but it's, you know, pretty cool to have these like monks in the game. I think it just makes the game more fun and varied. The stats are pretty decent. Again, there's not a whole lot to like discuss there. It's not like off the charts or anything, but you know. Okay, so the equipment is just fist weapons, but depending on what you have, you might not even want to use that. So the armors are kind of like what you need, I guess, for this class. And here we go to the abilities. So typical monk stuff. Chakra recovers 50% HP and MP to self. That's pretty nice. Helps this character to really sustain. This Goken is pretty decent, I guess, but it looks like it's one of those starter abilities that kind of goes into a chain of things. I actually don't know what Wolf Claw Fist and Falcon Kick are, and I don't feel like going to the Reddit right now, but you know, I'd imagine it's a little bit like Ida, the YDA character, where just you can have an option of like, you know, going down the list of abilities. So you know, that's kind of becoming the norm, I guess, with these monks. Goten increases his own attack by 100%, which is really nice, and also increases the limit burst gauge fill rate by 200%, which is really massive. So this is a really nice self buff, and his limit burst is actually good. Like, you would actually want to have this as often as possible. So you can max it out at 8.4 physical damage, which is really good, considering that it reduces attack, defense, magic, and spirit by 54%. So it's like a really powerful version of Full Break. Really awesome. Lasts for 3 turns. Then you also get access to these skills. Again, I imagine that they're strong, but time limited here. You can look it up for yourself, but you kind of get the idea. And then he has like an AoE here. So, you know, pretty strong monk character, but the reason I say that he's going to be very good for new players is the fact that he actually gets a massive passive increase to his attack when he's unarmed. So this means that you don't need the best gear, you don't need to farm a bunch of TMs before you have a viable character. Yeah, he gets 200% attack. That's crazy. And then you put a hat and a cloth on him, and he's gonna have like really high attack, even without any weapons. So I would imagine that the absolute best setup is going to involve some weapons, but for people who don't have all those absolute best setup TMs, this is going to be really a good character for you, a godsend. So, yeah, if you are a new player, you need a really strong attacker, but you don't have a bunch of good gear, this is the character for you. So yeah, very good character. Looks like he'd be a lot of fun to use. And then, of course, finally we go to Ayaka, who is now the best healer in the game and is going to stay that way for a long time. Even in Japan, she's right up there with I forgot what the name of the healer is, some kind of Fina, I think, or one of those characters. But yeah, Ayaka is like the new meta healer. So we'll see shortly why. She's actually very similar to Tillith, but just with some key improvements. So stat-wise, nothing remarkable, but high spirit and pretty decent HP. So yeah, there you go. And then there's like the usual gear that you would expect. Unlike Tillith, she can actually use a staff, which is nice. Okay, special abilities. Keep in mind, these are things that you cannot dual cast or anything. So high regen. This is a really good regen. It's split to all allies over 3 turns. So if you're in actually decent shape in any given turn and you don't need to like heal up a whole bunch, you can pop this and this will kind of like cover you a little bit for the subsequent 3 turns. Really high regen, really nice ability there. She has kind of like some of the basics, Meditate and Embolden. Then she has Purify, which is kind of like, similar to Tillith or Luca. Just gets rid of status ailments and gives you a little bit of healing as well. A decent heal, actually. Yeah, I should say that. Also, she can cure Stop to all allies. So this is like more and more we're seeing things that can prevent Stop. You can cure Stop now. So Stop is not like the end-all be-all status element now that it was for so long. Then she has Dedication, which is exactly like Tillith's Prism Heal. She gives a good chunk of HP and MP to everybody except for herself. So again, her own TM is going to really help mitigate any downsides to this ability, because this is a really good ability. It's like a go-to. Resurgence, which is basically full raise for everybody in your party, again like Tillith. And she also has access to dual white magic. And the reason why this is significant is because they've actually bumped up to the next tier of healing spells. Before, if you had dual Kiraja, big whoop. I mean, everybody had that, even Refia and Y'shtola, but now there's like a new tier of white magic, so this is actually pretty significant. So passives are 20% HP, which is nice, 50% when equipped with staff, also very nice. Resistance to Silence, Paralyze, Confuse, and Petrify, which are all like the major status elements that would like basically take her out of the fight, so she's immune to all those naturally, plus resistance to Stop. So there's really nothing you can do to stop her other than like killing her. Awesome, awesome stuff. Auto refresh, of course. Decreased chance of being targeted, only makes her more likely to survive. And then here we go into the white magic, kind of like the next tier. So they have renamed some of these things. Curata is basically like a Cura, I think. Kind of a weak AoE heal. You would only use this if you're kind of like in decent shape and you're just trying to conserve MP, but there's probably a lot of other things that she could be doing. Dispel Gov, remove all status elements from all enemies, really nice to have. Libra, again, nothing special, but just nice that she has all these things. Kiraga, which used to be called Kiraja, actually. AoE heal, so if you dual casted this was kind of like, the go-to for so long with characters like Refia, but nowadays it's kind of like not sufficient because the HP pools are getting so big and bosses are doing so much more damage. Isunaga, very nice to cure all these status ailments. And then Kiraja, this is the next level here. Yeah, 2500 HP and with a really high multiplier to all allies. So you can see this is more than double the strength of the previous best white magic for healing. So if you're dual casting this, you're going to get a lot. Well, you might ask, why would you dual cast this instead of just doing like the, Dedication or Actually, one thing that she doesn't have that Tillith does have is the full heal to the party. But essentially, if you dual cast Kiraja, that's pretty much the same thing that Tillith could do. But there's added flexibility here because let's say you don't need all of that healing, you can do dual cast Kiraja and like raise the dead ally here, or you can do dual cast re-raise and put auto revive on two characters at once in one turn. Really, really powerful stuff. This is actually really what separates her from the pack is being able to do dual cast re-raise. There are other characters that had re-raise, but to be able to do it on two characters in one turn is really huge. There's a lot of fights where either your tank is taking all the hits, or a guy on trial, he's taking out the highest attack guy, so you always know who's gonna die. This is when re-raise is a lifesaver. And again, because you can dual cast it, you can do re-raise on that one character that you know is going to be targeted, and then you can still heal your party in the same turn, giving her like so much flexibility. That is the one weakness of Tillith, is because she's pretty much limited to single casting everything. But because Ayaka can dual cast and has all this flexibility built in, like there's pretty much nothing that she doesn't have. Yeah, she's just the perfect healer right now. And then on top of that, her limit burst is amazing. She cures all status ailments and stat breaks to all allies, and revives everybody 100% HP and heals at 100 HP. So basically, this is like the ultimate reset. No matter how bad your party is, like what kind of terrible shape they're in, if Ayaka had 1 HP and everybody else was dead, you pop this and everything is back to normal. Granted, you wouldn't have all your like stat buffs and things like that, but yeah, this is like the reset button. Awesome, awesome limit burst, definitely worth maxing out. So you can see that this is definitely the next best healer, the next tier, just because she has those subtle, not so subtle, improvements over someone like Tillith, and has no weaknesses that are apparent. So awesome unit. If I were to get lucky and get her, I'd be ecstatic. But I am going to pull in this banner. Even if I don't get her, I'll still be happy with some of those TMs that are really good. But yeah, obviously a worthy grand prize. If you are able to get her, then you're going to be set for a very long time. And that's pretty much all I have to say on this banner. It's the first banner I've been excited about in this game for like a month at least. And with all the bugs and crashing, I had to reinstall the game, and the last raid events. This is a nice way to infuse some enthusiasm back into the game. So hope you guys enjoyed the review, and let me know in the comments if I missed anything or didn't consider something. But yeah, very good banner, worth pulling for the TMs, and if you get Ayaka, even better. So see you guys next time, and yeah, I'll see you probably on Friday when I'll pull for this banner.